Hey guys, welcome back. Looks like we're looking at week two. We're going to get into some profile leveling and three wired leveling. So let's just go back through the just step back for a moment and talk about last week. Sounds like everybody on campus was able to get through the level loop procedure, starting from Ager and then walking through all those benchmarks, getting your turning points and all that good stuff. So again, that won't be due till the this upcoming Friday, which is the 11th. Those notes. So again, if you haven't had a chance to get your field book, make sure you go get one. The other thing is the engineering paper. Make sure you are able to get some of that on for yourself. Let me see here. So, um, continuing on with the where's my example? So there we go, talking about the examples. So I was able to upload this guy for you guys. This is the manual from 2016 for GME 161, but it's a good reference just for the field book. Let me go back up here. So again, rotate this real quick. So again, you want your index right at the front of the table of contents, and I'll zoom in real quick. So this is the hard part or the hard cover of the book or the outside of the book. And that first page is where we want the index, right? Table of contents index, whatever you want to call it. And again, we want to go page, lab number, and description. And then you want to give me what page you're starting on, what lab number that is, and the description. And if we zoom down or scroll down, so you flip over this whole page, both these pages would be considered page one, this entire thing, right? And then the page numbering would be in that top right corner. And again, like in this example, we have the group here, and then first initial, and then last name with the date. And then this little sketch here is just telling me who's the field bookkeeper. And again, you could just, you could just say field, note keeper, I man, broad man, you could just put those. So whatever your task is for that day, instead of switching off, like every other setup, the field bookkeeper is going to be the field bookkeeper for the entire lab, for that lab. So, next week or this upcoming Tuesday, we're going to do profile leveling, and whoever's the field bookkeeper starting out is going to be the field bookkeeper for that entire day. If you guys are doing it continuing on Thursday, I would suggest to keep your same positioning or keep your same rotation and then switch for the following week. And then again, just more example, you want your information here in the front of the page. You're just basically what lab it is, what you're doing, where the location, and then what town and state. Bottom left is your weather. Bottom right is the equipment you're using. And then as you can see here on page two, which again, this is all page two, you have your information on the left-hand side, and then you have your sketch or your descriptions on the right-hand side of that. So let's make sure we're following that standard when it comes to our field books. All right. Just a quick heads up: if you don't have an engineer paper, or not engineer paper, engineer scale, sorry, go get one. I believe they are also available at the bookstore, and I mean they're available on Amazon as well or wherever you can find those. And then let me show you an example of profile leveling. All right. So we didn't do much profile leveling. We didn't get into that last 161. We will this term. We are going to be doing profile leveling through a few points, benchmarks. And so we were going to discuss today profile leveling and what we're looking for there. All right. So let's just go over what profile leveling is. So profile leveling is just a way to have information of the topography of any type of. So back, starting when we were colonies, we were a young country, we were moving west. The Industrial Revolution started coming around, and we started, building roads and cars and trains. Well, you know, business corporations needed to know the information, the lay of the land, before they just start, laying down tracks or started building tracks, started building roads, started building any type of design for sewer and storm. So that's where the surveyor would come in and start laying out the topography of the land. And before any type of, electric distance measurements or total stations, what we have now, we would have these profile leveling, right? And we would establish these benchmarks. We would get a route. And so, like in this, just kind of let me see here, kind of like this example here on this top right. This example here, this is the plan. This is a plan profile of just an example here. This is the plan route, right? This is the plan route of, let's say they wanted to put in a sewer system, right? They wanted to go in this route. They wanted to plan it this way. Well, depending on how much they had to trench or how much they had to excavate, they could go, they could just go, all right, from here to here is, we're going to distance, we're going to get the distance, we're going to lay out that distance using chain or a steel tape, whatever. So we have that distance. And maybe we only need to go strictly center in between those 2 points, right? So we just need to go what we call every half station, or that's 50 feet, right? Or a whole station every 100 feet. So we just need to take measurements every half station, or we just need to take measure and then that we can build a sketch, or we can build a profile elevation off of that. Or let's say they build a railroad, right? Building a railroad, that would require you to get the center in between the 2 points, but you would also need to get another, 50 feet to the left and 50 feet to the right of those, so you would have to take your center line measurements there, and then for the elevations, and as well as get 50 feet from each station shots, right? So you'd have to also reference those ones as well and establish those elevations to build your profile. But again, more than likely that would require you to, one, set up field books or field notes for one, just the, a center line profile. So like this example would just, these notes right here would just specifically be for the center line profile. And you would have to make a whole new page for the left side of the alignment, so that's the other word or the other language that we need to learn is, if you have just 2 points from here to here, or maybe let's say it's from starting here all the way to here, right? This whole thing would be called an alignment, and we would go by stationing. So this whole thing would be an alignment. And so if you just went one, the center line, you built the profile for the center line of the alignment, but you also need to build a profile for the left side of the alignment and the right side of the alignment. You would also have to get those notes sketch or collected, that information collected, and then we'd also have to get that information described, and that would be a totally separate set of notes but in that same project, right? So again, let me keep going here. So depending on the particular project, the reference line or the alignment, right, would be just a series of connected lines. Like this example here, this is a series of connected lines, but those connected lines overall build a reference line, or the alignment is what we like to call it. Again, doing this with like power poles when they're building, or sorry, not power poles, transmission lines, highways. And again, highways have curves, so we'd have to build a whole separate segment just for curves. Same thing with railroads. Railroads have spiral curves, so that's a whole different other procedure. But in this most plain example, this is just a series connection of manholes, right, for maybe storm or sewer. And this one looks like a sewer one. So again, we would use those, we would take intermediate shots, and those intermediate shots would usually be every half station or every whole station. And again, a whole station is 100 feet, half station is 50 feet. And so that way you could easily, or you could start tracking what the profile is. So I'm looking at chapter 5 of our elementary surveying book. And what I'm hoping to do is to get I reached out to the Pearson Publishing, which is who publishes this book. And I'm hoping to get some some digital figures. So get the online page. So get some online pages so we can show you guys kind of what I'm looking at when it comes to the figures, and then same thing with the data that they're showing here on this, so we can go through it together. But let's go through an example of profile leveling when it comes to this stuff. So kind of looking at the notes, it's kind of the same breakdown, as a and then this is also kind of review for a lot of you guys, because we did just a tad bit of differential or profile leveling. We just didn't do a lab, right? We just kind of went through the homework, and so just kind of another way, or just another review. But again, it kind of looks similar, right, to the notes that you guys had in differential leveling, where you have your station, you have your backsite, and this is wrong, right? This right here, make sure you pay attention to this right here. This is wrong. These two should be subtraction. This should be an addition, right? You always add your backsite and you always subtract your foresight. So let's clear that up real quick. The other thing, so let's just again go through this. So you have your station, right? The station, you have your backsite, you have your height of instrument, HI, you have an intermediate foresight right here, and then you have your foresight. Let me see if I have, So I have, So I have an example here for you guys, and here's some good notes. So here's this is just a different set of notes, and I think I can upload this one to you guys just to I'll double check that. But there's just another set of notes there. That's somebody's previous lab that they did. So again, let's just say we started with this known elevation of 4276.52, right? And we start there and we take our reading, and let's say benchmark Dow. Is that the same sketch here, just to make sure we're here? No, this is just for the manholes. So this sketch that we have here does not reflect the notes, right? So so let's say we start on this benchmark Dow, and then kind of just give you a let's just go give you guys an example. Okay, so let's just say, like, for this example here, we go from benchmark Duryea to benchmark Walker, right? And we have to build a straight line as best we can, or a series of connected portions, right? So to draw that out, let me pull up my side here. Let's see here, and then I will, perfect. And then I will build this sketch here. So again, this is north. We have north going this way, right? And let's say we have Duryea up here. And then here is the LRC, it sits like this. It comes out here. This is the LRC. And in between here and there, kind of in line, we have Owens going like this. Owens all. Right. And then here at the southeast corner, or southeasterly corner of Owens, we have Walker, right? Walker's down here. Make sure I get out of the way here so everybody can see what I'm looking at. So as we're looking at this on the screen here, we're going to try to make a series of connected lines. And I should have brought my scale with me, but I didn't. So I'm going to try to do a best straight, type of series command. But again, you're going to have, obviously, you can't go straight. You cannot go through the building, right? Either one. So you're going to have to kind of make a series of segmented lines, and that's still going to be your reference line, right? So let's say we have a turning point. We decided to make one here. We decided to put these first, right? Before we even started our profile level loop, we decided to set our temporary points. And then we said, let's put another temporary point here, right? Number 2. And let's say we got the distances, right? We figured out these distances. from here, and then we got here, and then we have our ending here, right? So let's say this is our station, 0 plus 0, right? Let's say this was 240, right? It's 240 feet. So in stationing, it's 2 plus 40. And then over here, you know, it's an additional 150 feet or whatever, you know. So let's just say it's 390 here. So that's 3 plus 90, that's station 390. And we end with, that's 500 feet. So it's station 5 plus a pair. So from here to there, you know, it's 500 feet, all right? So that's kind of the same thing that these notes are reflecting here when we're looking at this example, kind of in the same realm, right? We have a turning point, we have a turning point. This one has an additional turning point 3. And so every 50 feet, right? Every 50 feet here, oh, that's supposed to be 100, right? We have a couple more. We would have 150, and then we'd have 200. We would take a measurement, right? We would take a measurement at every single one of those points. And let's say, again, you're trying to be balanced in between your two stations of turning point 1 and Duryea. The thing is, yeah, you want balanced distances, but you don't have to be directly in line, right? In between your shots. It's the closer to your reference line, the better. But let's say you're just a little offset here, you know, taking your measurements. And again, you come out, you backsight that first one, you get your measurement. And let's say we'll call this benchmark Dow here. We'll call that Duryea for now, right? And we'll just run down here and say benchmark bike is Walker. So again, you start at benchmark there, you get your backside, you get your starting elevation, and you also know your ending elevation because we're going off of 2 benchmarks. And you get your backside, and that establishes your height of instrument, right? And now you want to, let's say we skip this part right here. And then let me see if I have a different one. Yeah, that one gives me that one. I think I have a separate one. I'm trying to remember where I put it. I wish I remembered where I had it. That'd been a great thing to before I started this. Well, kind of this example, like these students, they have a bunch of turning points. But as you can see here, right after they're before their even turning point, you can see kind of what they did is they said turning point, turning point, turning point. And then while they were here, they added these stations, which is a little confusing, which compared to what I'm trying to do. So give me 2 seconds and see if I can find the other one that I have. 61, go back. OneDrive. Yeah, go to the OneDrive. All right, let's see if I can find these guys. Oh, that's traversing. Those week 3. All right, profile notes. Let's see if this one works. There's also a worked example. That's kind of similar, but you can see kind of what we're trying to establish here. You have your total station, right? You have your instrument here. And again, we're set up here. We get your backside, and then we're taking all the readings, right? We take a reading there, right? We take a reading there. That's our, so these are going to be intermediate foresight shots that we're taking up here. IFS. Let me erase here quick. Erase. IFS. Right? Not sure if you guys can read that. Here, let me try to a little closer here. Hopefully you guys can read that a little bit more. Let me see. Can I adjust this part? That gotta be good. Sorry guys, I need something higher. Oh, I think I found something. Hang on. Give me 2 seconds. Make you dizzy, close your eyes. as minimal as possible. All right. So again, we have our IFS, right, at station 50. We have our IFS at station 100, and then so down the line, and then we're getting that turning point number 2 or turning point number 1, right? And well, actually, I just told you that in the reverse order. That's why all the notes are so different. So I'm sorry, I haven't done these in a while. So again, you set up, so again, you lay out your land, right? You understand that it's 240 feet between the two. So the first thing you want to do, one, get your backside. Get your backside. The next thing you want to do is take your foresight measurement here. Get your foresight. Then, only then, this is where my old memory comes into play. Then you want to do your intermediate foresight shots, right? This is where you want to change everything to make sure. So that's why the notes, that's why I was confusing you because of the note, or I was confusing you guys with the examples here. So again, benchmark 1, let's say that's Duryea. You got your elevation, you get your backside, you record your HI, and then you turn to your turning point 2, you get your foresight, you establish that elevation, right? And now you want to be able to record those intermediate foresights. You want to go back and go, well, okay, let's get that at station 50. Let's get that at station 100. Let's get that at station 150. Let's get that at station 2 plus a pair, 200, right? And then you can, now once you get all those stations, then you can pick up and move, right? Here in between turning point 2, turning point 1, and repeat the same procedure, right? So it would be, you know, let's just go this way. This would become backside, right? And then you establish your foresight elevation. And then you get your station 250, right? 10 feet away. And then we go station 300, 350. And then you move this, and then that would be 390 would be your other turning point. So that's the way profile leveling works. What I did do was I added, I am going to add a YouTube video on, or sorry, I'm going to add a sketch tutorial video on YouTube. And I believe it's from GME 161, but it's just another recap of what we need to do for your sketches for the lab. Okay. So speaking of the lab, I'm going to post this here too on Canvas, and this I'll use this here to talk about I'll use this video here to talk about the lab. Let me pull that up for you guys. So lab folder, profile and Stadia, profile level loop. Here we go. So for some of you guys, well, actually, there's only 2 groups on campus for my online class. If you guys can give me at least, you know, from benchmark to benchmark. And if you guys can go somewhere between 500 to 800 feet in a profile loop, that'd be great. For my online students, or sorry, for my on-campus students, we're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing 4. We're going to go between 4 benchmarks and establishing those elevations. So for the profile lab, again, we're going to be recording our backsides and foresights on hard surface, right? It says reading to the 1,000ths, right? So again, it's kind of hard with those rods, those standard rods. I would say to the 100th is fine for now. And for now, because we are, so remember when I said when we talked about last week about on differential level, when we said we're not going to do ground shots are not permitted. That is when we are specific, when we're talking about turning points and we're talking about setting benchmarks or setting temporary benchmarks, right? We don't use ground surface for those. For intermediate foresight shots, we can use ground surface because again, we're establishing a profile of the land And so whatever the land is, the elevation at that land is whatever it is when we take a shot at that ground reading. So again, let's go through what we're going to be working on. So the class will stake a proposed route before running levels. Reduce profile leveling notes using the procedure introduced in class. So you may use the Excel template. And so I'll post that too, the Excel template. So again, going back through campus control stuff, we're going to hit Ager, Duryea, SHU, and Walker. The order doesn't matter. I would come off of Ager first, but Ager is going to hold because again, that is a NGS benchmark, published benchmark. So we're going to come off of Ager first. And then again, we're going to go Walker, and then there's Duryea up here, and this is HSU down here, right? So we are going to establish a profile with these connections here. So give you kind of a sketch, right? You're going to lay out the land, and let's erase all this stuff here. I need a bigger eraser, guys. You guys sit here, right? Couldn't get any smaller. I mean, kind of crazy. So again, let's sketch out campus real quick. We got, we'll call this Seaman Hall here. I got Boyven. Right, and then we have up here in this little area, we have Owens. And again, we're gonna go Duryea is way up here, right? Actually, let's bring Owens down just a little bit because otherwise we can't fit Duryea. Let's just say, yeah, Owens is here. Right, so we have Ager. We're gonna have Walker here. We'll have Duryea up here. And then we have down here, we have HSU, right? So again, plan a route, right? First, get those distances checked in, and you can use a pacing, right? For now, you can use pacing and try to figure it out pacing wise. If you want to be a little bit more precise, we can go with just taping it with the rag tape, those big 200 footers that we have. Because again, we haven't got into, EDM distances, and we haven't got into 3-wire leveling because that's another technique we can do. But for now, let's just build a profile based off of pacing or taping with the rag tape. And again, we can go, if you guys want to start here at Ager, right? And it's going to be open-ended. So you don't have to close back on Ager. So if you decided to do counterclockwise, if you guys decided to go start at Ager and then run this direction, right? And whatever that station is, let's just say it's, 130 feet. So that's 130. And then you come up here, right? You got to probably set a temporary point through here and here. There'll probably be a couple of temporary points, right? Temporary point here, temporary point here. You'll probably have to, again, straight line segments, go to here, and then to here, and then here. And again, you have to lay out those stations. Let's say that's 210, and let's say this is, 305. And when we get to Duryea, it's 400. And then we're going to go all the way to HSU. But you can tell by the photograph here, or the aerial that I'm sharing with you, that you're gonna have another turning point, at least one more, if not a couple more. So again, you're gonna run this direction, right? And then another segment this direction, right? And again, turning points, right? The turning points will have to be something permanent. If you need to put in a railroad spike or set a hub in the ground, right? Do that. Otherwise, you can use the concrete, you can use curb, you can use the sidewalk, you can use asphalt. But for turning points, you cannot use natural ground. Your intermediate foresight shots, that is the natural ground, right? So again, you're going to be using those 4 monuments to build a profile. And again, there is a sketch, there's going to be a sketch tutorial on YouTube for you guys to work through. I'm going to post this on, so today is Sunday, the 6th. I'm going to post this on here in a little bit. Hopefully you guys can review it before Tuesday. And if you guys do, just reach out, whatever email, whatever, maybe I'm forgetting something right now off the top of my head or something right now. But whatever you guys, questions that come up, just email me and I will try to get back to you as quickly as possible so we can get you guys those questions answered. But again, stay with the same group you are. I think I talked to Rebecca earlier. She said she's with Samantha and Ellie. And I think Tony is working with Zia, I believe. And so keep your group and just change whatever you had your responsibility last week, change it this week, whatever if you were the field mill keeper, be the rod man or be the eye man. And then we can get a little bit more experience. So that's the one thing I forgot to mention to you guys is your lab final for this class is a practicum. So it is a build, so everything that you guys do in these next 10 weeks will be reflected on the lab practicum. So you will have, a lot of total state, maybe setting up a total station, taking measurements or doing something else or doing another level loop. But again, the lab practicum is going to be based off of the next 10 weeks of you just working with the total station, working with the level loops or working with the EDM and that style. All right. So again, email me with any questions. We're just getting into this stuff. Homework, try to give you set out a homework assignment next week. And I will again post that on Canvas, and I'll give you guys a couple days notice when I post it. Or sorry, I'll probably give you a day's notice, and then it'll probably be a week before it's even due. So I try to give you guys enough time, and then same thing with I'll have a quiz or 2 coming up. I'll give you like at least it'll be a week announcement ahead of schedule. So if there's something coming up, like let's say I want to post a quiz for the week of the 20th of April, I'll probably notify you guys that previous week to let you know, hey, we have a quiz coming up and this is what it's going to be on. And so again, that syllabus that I posted for you guys, I'm going to try to stick to that closely with all the chapters out of the book, whether it's chapter 4 or 5. Right now, what I'm profile leveling, that's 5.9. And so that's what we're discussing right now is profile leveling. The next discussion will be 3-wire leveling and just a small discussion there. That's chapter 5.8. And we'll just go through a couple examples. And that way you guys know what to expect for the quiz or a homework is going to be reflected on those chapters. All right, guys. So again, email me with any questions, email me with any problems, and I'll be more than happy to help. Let me turn all that stuff off. And I will see you guys. Well, you will hear me and see me on the next one. And if you have any questions, again, reach out. All right. Thanks.